most important acquisitions in our field have been made by Publicis. The first one was when we acquired Digitas for more than $1 billion US. And this was in 2007 when people were, January 2007, when people were not thinking at all about the coming back of digital. They were still thinking that internet was still in the bubble burst and that we should not yet invest. We made the acquisition of Razorfish in 2009, just a few months after the collapse of Lehman. And we thought that this was the right time to make acquisition on the cheap. And we acquired it for less than half the price we paid for Digitas. And when you look at the current situation, as you said, the digital investment that we have made over time has helped sharpening the profile of Publicis as the most digitized operation in the world. And we have a price-earning ratio which is much higher than the average of our industry, thanks to our profile. The other area where we have invested is on emerging market, and this is a much tougher issue because there is cultural differences, there is a way of doing business which are very different from what we do in the Western world, and the way Chinese or Indian or Brazilian are doing business is not exactly, or Russians, exactly based on the same I don't want to use the word ethics, but let's say habits that we have in Europe or in the Western world. So this is creating some challenges for us because we have global clients who don't like some local habits, and it's very difficult to keep the people with us after making an acquisition. And this is probably the biggest challenge we have still to face for the future. We are currently in the middle of a very large operation, which is a cross-border merger between Omnicom and ourselves. Omnicom is the second largest operation in the advertising world. We are the third largest, and the combination will make the largest by a margin. And this is probably one of the easiest and toughest operation. Easiest because we came to an agreement quite easily between the CEOs. We have been greatly helped by some fantastic advisors, among which we find at the first row Rothschild in France, who has helped us to complete the deal. And it is the toughest because we have to bring together two different cultures, two different organizations, two different ways of doing business successfully. And that is what is tough, is because the two operations are extremely successful, and the two operations have different ways of doing business, and making sure that we pick the right choice is not easy. And we are in the middle of this, and I'm sure that we will have a very interesting job to do in the coming months.
Okay, thank you very much. One more question, Mr. Levy. You know, this year, a number of the largest cross-border acquisitions have resulted in the merged company redomiciling to another, geography completely. For example, Perrigo and Elan, the two pharma companies, redomiciled to Ireland. Same thing with Actavis, who acquired Warner Chilcott. They've also redomiciled to Ireland. Liberty Global, $25 billion acquisition of Virgin Media. They redomiciled from Delaware to the UK. And of course, your transaction, the merger with Omnicom, you've redomiciled the headquarters to the Netherlands. you know, while it's clear that large-scale globalization is a key factor in many of these transactions, this is something that many years ago was really unheard of, kind of re-domiciling such large organizations to a completely different geography. What were the key factors behind the re-domiciling of the combined company? And, you know, do you believe this is an emerging trend that we'll continue to see now going forward in large global M&A?
It's not so much a recent trend. If you look, for example, at what happened with ST Microelectronics or with EADS, you had a cross-border merger. ST Microelectronics is a merger of a French and Italian operation, and they had to find a neutral place, which was the Netherlands. EADS is a cross-merger of Daimler Aerospatiale and a Spanish company, and they had to find, again, a neutral place. When we discussed the possibility of merging between Omnicom and Publicis, we obviously started to think about merging either in the US or in France. And the reason why we have not done it and we have not chosen to do it was fairly simple. It was the image that this would have projected. People would have thought that either Publicis has been swallowed by Omnicom if the merger was to happen in the US, or that Omnicom has been swallowed by Publicis if the merger was to happen in France. And this has nothing to do with taxes or the difficulties that we can find in a country or another. It has to do purely with what is the most important aspect in our industry, which are people. And we didn't want that our people believe that it has been a winner and a loser operation. We wanted that this has been seen as a win-win operation. We thought of going other places. And we looked at Hong Kong, at Shanghai, at Singapore, because the future is in Asia. When you look at our business, when you look at the trends, clearly growth will be in that region. And it is so foreign to us that we decided that this will not work well for us. We looked at other operations in Europe. We look at Ireland, Luxembourg, Switzerland, and we decided not to go there despite the fact that it was extremely attractive tax-wise, but that in that case our operation would be tainted, colored by a tax advantage. And again, we didn't want to give the impression to our government, to our client, to our people, that the reason why we were doing the deal was tax-based. The reason why we are doing this deal is simply because we believe in the future. We believe that if we want to best serve our clients, we need to invest massively in the future and in big data, and scale is paramount in this field. And we didn't want to give the wrong image from the start. That's the reason why we have picked the Netherlands, and our government could hardly, at least the French government, could hardly criticize us because ST Microelectronics, Renault-Nissan, EADS are operations in which the French government has interest. And therefore, we are not doing anything else than following his own example.
Okay. Well, I've seen your most beautiful offices on the Champs-Élysées, so I hope you'll still be able to spend some amount of time there.
I invite you to come to the Champs-Élysées, and you will see me regularly there because first I have my office, I will not change, and the sightseeing from the terrace of Publicis on the Champs-Élysées is something, as John Wren said, priceless.
I agree.